Hey guys, how's it going? I thought today is just a nice, wonderful sunny day after a few days of rain, and I thought it would be a perfect day to come out and do some foraging and digging for some root plants. So thought I'd show you that real quick. Thing is, in California and other warm places, with the mountainous terrain, the ground is very rocky, so that's, you dig in the dirt and it's full of rocks, and after a month or two after the rainy season, everything gets sunbaked and the ground is hard as bricks. So if you're going to do some root foraging, spring's the time. So anyway, thought we'd look at two plants today. First one that this video is going to be is soaproot, and then I'll do another one on blue dicks, also called pignut or Indian potato, is a friend of mine in one of the local tribes told me. So soaproot, let's take a look. So around here, this stuff is everywhere, and all those stalks sticking in the air, that's soaproot. So take a look at a few up close here. This is the very top, and soaproot's interesting in that it blooms at night. So there you have it. So the flowers come out at dusk. It has this long stalk on it. Let me go down to the bottom, and the biggest characteristic to me that makes it obvious are these long leaves. They're wavy on the edges, and they all radiate from the base. They just radiate out in all directions, and they're individual long leaves. The main center vein, and then smaller parallel veins or lines on there. But those, that's the telltale sign right there. So you have to be careful because there's a few lookalikes, but they're kind of rare. So we'll go over that later. But soaproot. So why is soaproot so awesome? Soaproot's amazing. So it has saponins in it, which is the stuff that makes soap foam, your toothpaste foam, and you can see here that foam there. And it's also what they put in, sometimes in beer and soft drinks to make it foam. So soaproot, saponins, it's so soaproot has, like the name sounds, a root that goes down into the ground, and it ends in a bulb. And there's a couple different species of soaproot, even on the west coast here, and one of the most common ones has a thick root with a bulb, and it's covered in hairs, and so I'll show you that in a few minutes when we dig one up to show you. But those saponins, you cut the root open and you basically lather it like a bar of soap. You just the inside, and you lather it up, and you could use it for soap. It's supposedly fantastic for cleaning dishes and things, and laundry even, supposedly. I don't know. I've used it a few times washing off in a stream, and it worked very well. So, but there's so many uses for this plant. It's a miracle plant, just like kind of like cattail, maybe even more so than cattail. So those same saponins are what, so you've heard of indigenous cultures all over the world have found different plants that they can use. They gather big quantities, right, and they drop it in a dammed up stream or in a pond or something, and it stuns the fish or paralyzes the fish. Well, the natives, indigenous people here on the west coast, at least, used soaproot for that same purpose. The interesting thing is that these chemicals that stun the fish don't harm people. So at least in this particular plant, so eating the fish was no problem. And which brings us to another use, is that soaproot is edible. The leaves are edible. At least from what I hear in the spring. I haven't tried them yet, and so early spring when they're more tender, I'm thinking on giving it a try. And also the root's edible, but I hear long roasting times, so what they would do is, you know, one of those dug in the ground fire pit ovens. So dig a pit in the ground, burn a fire, let it burn for a long time, and then once everything's hot, you know, scrape the embers out, put your food in there, and then cover it and let it cook overnight. So apparently the trick is long cooking time for that root. It gets rid of that kind of soapy quality, and supposedly there's some sweetness to it if you cook it long enough. So and I would guess that some cooking on the leaves would be also a good idea. So in fact, definitely cook the leaves too. Apparently the green juices from the leaves, they would squeeze the juices out and use that for tattooing. The hairs, so you could boil the roots or cook them a short amount of time, and that the soapy substance kind of thickens and it creates an adhesive for glue. So they would use that for, the indigenous people here would use that for fletching arrows. They would use it for making, you know, using it for glue for a variety of purposes. What else? I'm sure there's a million things I'm forgetting, because it's just got so many darn uses. That an interesting thing about this plant, though, is that the bulb every year at a certain point of time in the year grows kind of thick roots out the bottom, and those thick roots dig down and then pull the bulb down a little bit deeper each year. I think that's kind of fascinating. And also, it takes about 10 years for this plant to mature enough to make flowers. So it's another one of those things where we have to think ethical harvesting. Soaproot is everywhere out here, so it's not a big concern. But as always, the disclaimer that I put in every video about, you know, wildcraft and harvesting and that kind of thing is that only ever harvest what you're going to use. Or, you know, there's a first time for everything, so you got to harvest once to learn about the plant. But other than that, harvest what you're going to use. Do it sustainably. Do it in areas where plants are prolific. Don't pull up, you know, if you've seen one wild onion in an area in your whole life, don't pull it up. Leave it, so maybe it'll propagate. So, alright, so I'm going to show you soaproot. That I already went ahead and harvested. So that's the root, and you can see all those hairs on there, and then it goes down into a bulb. And here's a little bit smaller one, and again down into a bulb. The hairs on there. So one of the common things that they would do is, I told you about how this root could be boiled and, you know, peel off the outside, then boil it and make a glue out of it. Well, they would use these hairs and make brushes and use that glue from those bulbs to kind of hold the brush together and make a handle on it. So that's really interesting, and I think I'm going to actually try that with these two. So maybe try the greens for eating, and then harvest the hairs off of both of them for a brush, make one into glue, and maybe try cooking the root on the other one. So we'll take those home. Anyway, I think I'll throw down a few links in the comments section that I found really helpful when I was looking for information for you guys on this one last night. I found some links that I thought were decent and rather scholarly. So some flies showed up all of a sudden. Anyway, so I'll throw those links down in the comments below so that you are in the, you know, the box down there, and so you guys can read up on it if you choose. So this stuff's pretty much all over the west coast, so up to about 5,000 foot elevation and below. And so have a look around, maybe give it a shot. I don't know, experiment with it. Again, harvest in areas where it's plentiful, and it shouldn't be too hard to find. So thanks for watching, guys. If I have more information, I'll put it down in the comment box down there. So see ya. Bye. Alright, so I thought I'd share a little bit on this soaproot stuff. So here's our soap roots that we just gathered, and here's those roots on the bottom I was talking about, those stronger ones that every year they grab into the dirt and then pull that bulb down a little bit deeper each year. So really kind of fascinating. So in this one you can clearly see the hairs, and these were what was made into brushes, and that's what we're going to attempt at some point here. So, but first is to get this outer covering off. So we'll see how we manage. Just kind of peels like an onion almost. So there you go. And it's all wet and still kind of dirty. I washed it some, but I think I need to wash it some more. So I'm going to just put it in a bowl of water over here. Looks like we can get a little bit more here. Pretty fibrous plant, let me tell you. It's not fragile. So there you have it with the hairs and that outer covering stripped off. Now if I was going to roast this teat, I'd leave that other outer covering on. And they'd probably just stick it in the coals that way. So then, you're going to add just a bit of water. Lather this stuff up just like soap. You can definitely feel it. And I probably, to get the full effect, you should use more of the root for sure, because I've had this stuff lather up on me more, but it feels like soap. And but I'd use more of the root, but in this case we're going to use that root for making glue. So I don't want to waste any more, but yeah, it's got that same slippery, soapy feel and everything, so very cool. same with this one. Gotta work a little bit to get down in there through these fibers. You kind of feel it with your knife when it pops. A whole bunch more of that hair stuff. Here's a bowl full of that hair stuff. I'm gonna sit here and wash it out because it's still full of mud, but we'll get that cleaned out at some point. And these roots, we're gonna go ahead and boil and make glue out of it. You know, I think some of these greens I'm gonna try to cook them. I'll probably slow cook them, nice braise or something with some, who knows. Probably go good with probably a chicken or something like that. Just slow cook them for a while. Let's throw some eggs on top of them with some balsamic vinegar and something like that. A little salt and pepper. It'd be delicious, probably. We'll find out. So, anyway, so we have the hair things, we have the greens, we have the roots, bulbs. We're going to use this whole plant as much as we can. Make sure we show plenty of honor and respect, because that's what foraging is all about. Definitely. Make use of the plants, forage and harvest sustainably, preferably forage and harvest in a way that propagates. So if you have seed pods on the plants, you know, replant those, that kind of thing, seeds of any kind. And yeah, this is just fantastic stuff, and there's a little bit of awe involved. So, okay. Well, I'm going to move forward and kind of use this stuff up a little bit, and I'll probably do another video later separate from this one and report back to you guys on how some of this stuff went. So maybe show you that brush thing, see how it turns out, because that's something I've never done before. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this interesting about Soaproot. Fantastic, very, very versatile, cool plant. So yeah, I love this plant. It's really cool. So, alright guys, see you later. Thanks for watching.